Hi, my name is Madison, and I just wanted to pop on YouTube really quickly to just talk about methods that I would use to really learn how to code for the first time, especially if you're using programs such as like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. The first method I want to show you is basically going to a website called Replit.com. This is the one where I personally first learned how to code, and it's really simple because it gives you like a bunch of different feedback on how to make your code better, and like everything's in one place. And I'll show you right now. So you're gonna go to create a REPL. You're gonna do, there's Python, there's also no JavaScript, but just for example, I'm gonna show you HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And then I like it, it creates like a cute little name. It's really fun. So basically, I love how it has like these tabs for really whatever you're building, your HTML, your JavaScript, and then your CSS. It's really good for writing code, especially if you're a beginner. And I'm going to take a little pause, and then I'll show you like after I actually add some stuff to this. Okay, so I'm back. So basically what I did is I just added a button, but of course I have an error over here, but we're going to worry about that later. So I added a button, and I just like changed some style elements, like not really anything too special. And basically like really anywhere you can do run, but the problem is that I really like, it has like the same console that you would have if you were just running it in like Google Chrome, or in my case Safari, but it tells you that there's an error. So I'm going to go over to my script, and I think it's really easy to go back and find this. Okay, so basically I just changed it to, instead of get element by to query selector, when I run it, I click it, it changes the background, and that's basically it. So basically I'm just going to go in like to my pros and cons of this. My pros, it's super simple to create a new file. Like everything's in one location, which is really nice. My only problem is it's a little bit harder, especially like in this console right here, to see like if I was doing something like indexing items. But otherwise I think this is a great place to start. So JSFiddle is really, like personally, one of my favorites, not for like these features actually, but it has like a lot of really great work, like simply just out there, and there's like a lot of resources, like if you do really want to get into code and maybe learn something more advanced. Basically it works just the same as Replit, but there's a lot of examples, not in this tab, but I'm going to pull up that tab now. Basically, when I just type in JSFiddle basically in Google, my favorite thing about it is you can really find almost anything. So let's do JSFiddle index DB. Okay, let's look at this one. This one I used and I really liked. You can find someone else who publicly posts whatever their code is in JSFiddle, and to see really if it works or if it doesn't work. But personally, I just use these like as a reference. And then you can kind of look at their code, and then you can fork it, which forking is I would say like saving and like making your own little edits, which is why I find this one really helpful. You also have that with Replit, but I feel as if people on JSFiddle are using, I'm going to use quote-unquote more advanced code. So this one's definitely like my favorite before you move on to, I guess, like the big kid stuff. I would say once you kind of know a little bit more of what you're doing, you can move on to my personal favorite, Visual Code Studio, which is where I normally code. But honestly, if you're just a beginner, I would totally recommend something like a Replit, because it is more step by step. But I love Visual Code Studio. Personally, I think it's just really pretty. But you can also use things like Sublime, and really in these you can use, I don't know about all coding languages, but quite a few coding languages. Like I've done some Swift stuff, some Python, of course like some JavaScript. And this is when I would personally say like wait until you're ready, wait until you have some other coding experience under your belt. But this one's definitely like probably the best. Like I said, you can use Sublime, but personally, Visual Code Studio for me is where it's at. The only difference is that you'll have to, normally I run all of this, like when I'm editing my code and debugging, I normally run my code in Google Chrome, which I'll show you in a second. Hey, I'm back. Basically, this is kind of what it looks like. I just really opened the code in a new browser. I just dragged and dropped it into Google Chrome. That's what I did. But the thing you have to remember for Chrome, you're going to have to go to View to find the developer tools. And I normally opened the JavaScript console. And then this form doesn't really work, but the thing I also like about this is more of like a Google Chrome thing. It also shows you application, security, lighthouse, performance. It has like more tabs than like a REPL would. And it just shows like my indexes, which I'm personally working on IndexedDB. So I can store a lot of user data, but honestly, if you're a beginner at code, you don't need to worry about this, but when you are going to learn more about storage, I would definitely recommend this. I think really the best way to learn how to code is simply start, but the ways to code and like the websites I mentioned are really great ways that provide a little bit of extra support before you jump right into it. So thank you, goodbye, have a wonderful week.